between our win and our loss in this case, we would call it a 30, because I'll win 35 out of 100, and the other side will win 65 out of 100. If I were to take that same hand, 12 against a 2, and hit, I would now win it 37 out of 100 times that I receive it, and lose it 63 out of 100 times that I receive it. Bottom line, we hope we never get a 12 when a dealer has a 2. It's a horrible hand. But what does the right decision do? The right decision simply tells us that there's an exact way to play the hands. I now can win it twice more often per 100. So therefore, I can lose it twice less often per 100 and reduce the house points by 4 on that one hand. Basic strategy, just in general, creates a net hold to the casinos of 20%. And that is mind-boggling. What they are telling us is that for everybody that goes to a blackjack table, the average, what we call unskilled, if they purchase $100 worth of chips while at the table, eventually and sadly they end up at a cashier's cage and they have less than $80 in chips left over. They've left behind and created a net win for that table of 20%. When they computed these figures, they already took into consideration the amount of dollars that are being removed from the casinos by the card counters, which sadly make up less than 1/2% of the people in a casino. So what they're really telling us is that what they again call the unskilled are losing closer to 22 and 23% of their money. It doesn't have to be, because if you just learn how to play the basic strategy, the first step alone, that then puts us at almost an even game with the casino. By never playing a hunch, but in fact playing every hand correctly, we're then playing at a disadvantage of only 1/2%. So it really becomes very worthy of learning. Now at this point, all we've really done is reduce the casino's advantage. That certainly would not make me happy. So we go into step 2, which is called the card counting. And this is really where the fun and excitement begins. Because card counting is really only 3rd or 4th grade math. And I have been told hundreds of times by people, how do you keep track of all those cards? People truly believe that all card counters are ex-math professors with photographic memories. And it would be a lot of fun if I could stand up here in front of you and to come across as some raving genius. Now, a few weeks ago, I was asked to speak at the University of Texas to the faculty in the math department, and the week before that, the same privilege at Texas Tech University. Well, that's nice for me, but I am not an ex-math professor, nor do I have a photographic memory. We do not keep track of a single card. Card counting, again, which is what we're going to cover first in a few minutes, is truly 3rd or 4th grade math. We never add or subtract more than the number 1, and we're going to be very specific in detail, so you're going to understand exactly why it works in the casino, and why, when we and the dealer can get the same cards, it in fact only benefits us. And first of all card counting really means, it means that we now can detect before the hand is dealt who has the advantage. Are the remaining cards either mostly picture cards and aces or mostly the smaller cards? When we have an abundance of picture cards and aces remaining, that will create an advantage for the player. The player then is on the attack, on the offense. The player will win more than half the hands, and you can't change that. If the remaining cards in majority are the smaller cards, regardless of our skills, we're going to lose more than half the hands. We're on the defense, and we can't change that. So it becomes really very simple. When we have the advantage, we bet more dollars. When the casino has the advantage, we bet less dollars. At the end of the day, we will actually have lost more than half the hands betting less, and we will have won more than half the hands betting more. It is the spread between the two bets. The spread between that low bet and that high bet. The greater it is, the greater that we can create, the more and the faster we will win the dollars from the casino. So that is what we attempt. And through the evening, I will show you exactly how we proceed to do that, how we actually can go about creating a very large spread between the low bet and that high bet. So basically, card counting, which is the simplest of the 5 areas we will cover, it's the area that gives us, the player, the advantage over the casino. Then we go from there into the money management. And I really make no bones about it. That's the most difficult area that we will cover. It is the most strenuous, it's the most taxing, but it's the most necessary. Because without it, there's really no program at all. It binds the program and it allows it to function properly. In money management, we are not utilizing any kind of a betting system because none of them really could help us in a casino. We are taking into consideration the factors of advantage. And there are 3 very important factors that we have to consider when we make a bet. First of all, our own individual dollars. We're all in a different capacity financially. The amount of money that we may set aside for the purposes of playing winning blackjack, we call that a bankroll. The more it is, the more that we as an individual then, of course, can bet in the casino. And we never exceed, and I mean never exceed, 2% of an entire bankroll as a maximum bet. And you'll see the validity of that as we get into money management later on. The first thing that it does is it eliminates our ever entering into a very sad world referred to as gambler's ruin. I'm sure none of you have ever been there before. We're certainly going to see to it that after tonight, none of you ever have to be there. So betting in relationship to our dollars, that is the first step of money management. The second is we bet in relationship to the count itself. The higher the plus count, the greater the advantage, therefore, the more that we can bet. And thirdly, we take into consideration what we call the generosity of the casino. They're all different. Some of them are very friendly and not too generous. Some of them are very generous, but not too friendly. So we really combine it all. If we walk into a casino and we play from what we call the shoe, the device on the table that houses the multiple decks, the shoe. Well, if we sit down to play, and in this casino, we're going to call it a 4-deck shoe. But the casino that we are now in deals us only 2 of the 4 decks and then shuffles. We're in the wrong casino. So money management will be the area that will, in fact, bind the entire program together and allow us to maintain the advantage that we're going to create through card counting. Now we go from there into the casino awareness. And that will be, of all of the areas that we will cover tonight, the most informative and the most fun. It is probably the area that I have been told that I have the greatest amount of expertise in. And we're going to cover things that have been happening right there in front of you. You see, in casino awareness, I'm not just talking about the back rooms, but I'm talking about things that really happen on a blackjack table right there in front of us that the average person never takes the trouble to look for. And let me give you an example right now of just one item, and I think you'll get an attitude. I would have to assume that most of you here tonight probably play blackjack in Nevada, because it obviously is the closest area. Well, Nevada is really very unique. Nevada is unique because in Nevada, the dealers, as opposed to the other areas around the world, takes 2 cards. The dealer takes 1 up and 1 down. If the dealer's up card, in 90% of the casinos in Nevada, if the dealer's up card is either a picture card or an ace, what does the dealer do? He peeks underneath it. Because if he has a 2-card natural, if he has a 21, the hand is over and they take our money and run, and that's the name of that tune. So with that in mind, let's just think about one very interesting fact. If in fact the dealer's up card was a 2 through 9, he would never peek underneath it. Because if he would never peek underneath it, he can't possibly have a blackjack. Therefore, he never will. So let's just think about that same card, 2 through 9. And now, it is under a picture card or an ace. And now the dealer peeks. And because of that, what has the dealer really done? We call it in the industry warping. The dealer has, in fact, marked every single card for you. The card now will have a value in it. There is no other way that the card could look. And we utilize this from the casinos to deal from the shoe. Because if you will notice that when you now play from the shoe, the average casino deals face-up. And in a face-up game, we, the player, don't get to touch the cards. Therefore, only the dealer is touching the cards, and only the dealer is marking them. In addition to which, when you play from the shoe, you will find that the dealer or the casino never replaces the cards except once every 8 hours. Some casinos only once every 24 hours. So the bottom line becomes, after 5 or 6 hours of those same cards being in the shoe, all cards 2 through 9 have what we call a valley effect, and there is, again, no other way that they can possibly look. And because they always peek at picture cards and aces, if you were to take it and turn it over, you will find that it also has a warp in it. We call it in the industry a mountain. And side by side, we refer to them as mountains and valleys, and there's no other way that they can look. When you get home later, take a deck of cards. Take out 3 little cards like deuces and put them face down on your kitchen table. Take out 3 jacks. Put them face up on top of each deuce so you've made 3 piles that look like this. Pretend you're a dealer and peek. And I don't mean for 5 or 6 hours. How about just 5 or 6 times? And then take all 6 cards, turn them face down, and mix them up. And when you go back and look at them, you'll immediately know which 3 are the deuces and which 3 are the jacks. They cannot look any other way. And this has been happening right there on the table in front of you that the average person never looks for. Let's get into card counting. As the cards come out of the pack, what we're doing is we're creating a balance out of a deck of cards. Whenever I see a small card, I treat those as a +1. Small cards to me are a 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I have to balance those cards, so I take the larger cards, 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. And I create for those cards a -1. So I have 5 cards that are each worth a +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I have 5 cards that are each worth a -1, 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. 7s, 8s, and 9s, we treat those as a 0, and that becomes the border between our high and our low, and we ignore those cards. And now what happens is, as the cards are coming out of the pack, we keep what we call a running count. As an example, if the first card I saw were a 2, I would say +1. and the very next card I see is a 3, I would say +2. And then the next card I see is a 6, and my running count would go up to +3. And the next card I see is another 6, and now my count goes up to +4. And the next card I see is another 3, and my count goes up to +5. And what's really happened? I think, first of all, using fairly simple math, certainly with no memory involved, I have now just told myself that of all of the remaining cards, the majority of them are picture cards and aces. In fact, if I had originally created an equally balanced deck of cards, if I'm now at +5, then I would know I have exactly 5 more picture cards and aces remaining than I do smaller cards. Well, when we have more picture cards and aces remaining in the pack, at a certain point, we, the player, will then have a very dramatic advantage over the casino, and we logically would bet more money for lots of reasons that we're going to cover. So before we discover why it creates an advantage for us, the player, let's do the opposite, and then we'll come back. The first card I see is a 10. I say -1. Then a couple of picture cards go by, and I'm up to -3. Then I see an ace, and I'm at -4. Another picture card, I'm at -5. And now what's happened? I think, again, using fairly simple math, I have now just told myself of all of the remaining cards, the majority of them are the smaller cards. That would create a disadvantage for me. So my options then are to bet less or to get up and leave the table. Nobody has me tied down. Nobody has me forced to play in a game that I don't belong in. I decide what's best for me. I exercise all the necessary discipline in the casino to create the largest victory I possibly can. When we say the count is minus, that is bad because the larger cards which we need are gone, and there are smaller cards remaining. When we say the count is plus, that is good because the smaller cards are gone and the larger cards are remaining. And then we say to ourselves, why? Just because the remaining cards are mostly picture cards and aces. Well, why would that create an advantage for me, the player? Just because I can get 20, so can the dealer. People really lose all that happens in a casino. First of all, when we walk into the casino, Blackjack is the only game where we, the player, could create an advantage mathematically and therefore win consistently because it's different than anything else in a casino. We call it in the industry an after the fact. If you picture any other game in a casino, anything else, they all fall into the same category. They're a bet followed by an action. You could put $1 in a slot machine. You pull a handle. It's a bet followed by an action. If you bet on a dice table, they throw the dice. If you bet on a roulette wheel, they spin a wheel. All games in a casino are a bet and an action. We therefore can never change the math. But Blackjack works differently. You see, what happens is we bet and we receive cards. And then, only then, we elect what to do with them. We get to create. We make decisions. We either hit or stand, or we split pairs, or we double down, or we take insurance, or we surrender. But we basically now get to utilize the rules the casino's going to offer us for the game that they want dealt in their casino. The dealer does not get to make any decisions at all. Worldwide, if the dealer has 16 or less, he must hit. If he has 17 or more, he must stand. Only we get to create. So with that in mind, let's go into some of these departments that we get to create and see what effect card counting has on them. The count is plus. That means the remaining cards are mostly picture cards and aces. The next hand is dealt. I pick up my cards and look at them, and I'm delighted. One is a 6 and one is a 5. I have a 2-card 11. Well, we already know the remaining cards are mostly picture cards. So because I had the advantage, I originally had bet $100. I now put another $100 in the circle, and I say to the dealer, I wish to double down. I then get just one more card. I get a picture card. I have 21. I win twice as much. I'm not even shocked. I got it because I knew that I was supposed to get it. That's what card counting does for us. It tells us not only when, but it tells us that we may do it. You see, the dealer cannot double down. Only I, the player, get to do that. The count is plus. That means the remaining cards, again, are mostly picture cards and aces. I bet $100. I have the advantage. The next hand is dealt. I pick up my cards and I look at them, and again, I'm delighted. I have a pair of 8s. I just looked up, and I see the dealer's up cards of 5 or a 6. If the remaining cards are mostly picture cards and aces, for sure the dealer will break. So I split the 8s, put another $100 in the circle, and I win twice as much. In fact, I may really get fortunate. I may even get a 3rd 8 or a 4th 8. That would be delightful. But where's my advantage? The advantage is that I got to do that. Only I get to split the pairs, not the dealer, just I. They never can split pairs. They never can double down. Let's assume that we and the dealer are dealt identically the same break hand. I'm dealt 12 through 16. The dealer is dealt 12 through 16. I have the option of what to do. I know how now I am supposed to play that hand according to the count. But what about the dealer? Doesn't matter what they know. Anywhere around the world you have ever been, if that dealer has 16 or less, he must hit. If he has 17 or more, he must stand. And it is when the dealer has 12 through 16, and he must hit, which he has to, and the remaining cards are picture cards and aces. That's when he breaks. We win. We let him. Too often, people are in a casino, and they'll sit down and they'll play single-deck blackjack. And they're really now at the mercy of the dealer and all that's happening, and they don't realize it. Unless you are totally aware of the integrity of the casino that you are in when you are playing what we call handheld or single-deck blackjack, watch what goes on. The dealers are not asked to cheat you. Never would it happen. The dealers, in fact, are not asked to count the cards, but the dealers are instructed. When a given hand is over, they're instructed to just look down at the table. Because if the majority of the cards on the table are the smaller cards, they then scoop them up and shuffle. They take the cards that we want to see out of the pack and they put them right back into the pack. And if, in fact, they look down and the majority of the cards on the table are the picture cards and aces, when they scoop them up, they put them at the bottom of the pack and they deal the next hand. Because when the picture cards and aces are out of the pack, we do not stand a chance in a casino. I really make no bones about it at all. The only reason that I go into a casino is to win as much of their money in the shortest period of time with no remorse at all. That's why I'm in the casino. And the only way that that can be accomplished mathematically, where I would have the advantage over the casino and then could win consistently, is by playing blackjack as a card counter only when the remaining cards are picture cards and aces. When they're gone, we have no chance at all. Let's picture remaining cards were mostly picture cards and aces. We can paint ourselves a white cloud, fill it up with picture cards and aces, and we stare up at it. What's it filled up with? It's filled up with blackjacks. That happens to be the single most important reason you sat down to play the game of blackjack, yet most people would never answer that question. Why are you at the table? You happen to be there for no other reason but simply to get blackjacks. We can acknowledge that if the remaining cards are mostly picture cards and aces, that's when we get blackjacks, right now. If the remaining cards were a bunch of little cards, there are no blackjacks remaining. So I now know when blackjack's going to happen. It's going to happen now. The remaining cards are mostly picture cards and aces. I'm delighted to have that kind of information. I'm certainly bright enough to know that if I can get a blackjack, so can the dealer. If the dealer can get a blackjack, so can I. In fact, I'm going to count on that. The law of large numbers will protect me. Over a given period of time, we and the dealer have to equally share in the same number of blackjacks. Now let's go into a casino. I bet $100 and the dealer gets blackjack, and what happens? He takes my $100. I bet $100 and I get blackjack, and what happens? He gives me back the $100 that he's been holding for me, and then he gives me another $50 because he loves me. We call that the bonus program. It's the single most important reason we're in the casino to play blackjack. We will get exactly the same number of blackjacks as the dealer, but we get paid 50% more than the dealer, and then to boot it all, we know when it's going to happen. I'll be delighted to do nothing else but just let's trade blackjacks. Here, let me bet $1,000, and then you win that, and then I get paid $1,500. Then you take my $1,000, and you pay me $1,500. Boy, I like this game a lot. Just trading blackjacks, and that actually is what we absolutely try to play for in the casino. We try to avoid playing at all when we can't get blackjacks, and we try to bet as much as the casino will allow us to when blackjack is very viable. So with that, what I want to do is I want to go through one drill with you here tonight and see where it can lead and what happens with it. If we know that the cards 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are each worth a +1, and the cards 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace are each worth a -1, and 7s, 8s, and 9s, I'm going to ignore those, and I have here 13 cards, all one suit. Well, if we begin with 0 when we get all done with these 13 cards, we better be back to 0. So if the very first card is a 2, what does that do to our count? +1. And then if the next card is a 4, what does our count go to? +2. Boy, is this easy. And now we're at +2, and now the next card is a 9, and what happens to our count? See, I heard most of you say +2, and that is correct. For those of you that didn't, we ignore the 9. 7s, 8s, and 9s are treated as a 0. So the running count that we had really will maintain. So now we still have a +2. And now we go from +2, and the next card's a queen, and our count becomes +1. Very good. We just reduce it by 1. And now we go from +1 to +2 because that card's a 6. And now we go from +2 to +3 because that card's a 5. And we go from +3 I can't even trick you. Do you feel guilty yet? We're still at +3. And now we go from +3, and we're still at +3, and we go from +3, and now we're at +4, and if we're at +4 and I have 4 cards left, what do they have to be? Right? Picture cards and aces. They can't be anything else. Here's a situation where somebody gets 20 and somebody gets 21. Boy, I'll tell you what, Mr. Dealer, I love that. Why don't we just trade these all day long? Here, let's shuffle these up, and you get 21 and I get 20, and then I get 21 and you get 20. Wouldn't that be nice to win 50% more every other hand than you lost the hand before? And again, we get back to that, still the same points. We always attempt in a casino to play only when blackjack is at its highest potential, because we trade them with the dealer and we get paid more than the dealer. So with that, here's basically what just happened. We just learned how to count cards. So tomorrow morning, we put $1,000 in our pocket, we get on an airplane, and we fly to Las Vegas. Boy, this game is easy. And we decide when we get there, we have a terrific idea. We've decided now we're going to walk into a casino, and we're going to walk in and we're going to stand behind a table where 1 or 2 other people are playing, and we're going to be a spectator. We've all seen spectators in a casino. And now as the shoe begins, I begin to count. And as soon as I reach that plus count, I plunk myself down and I bet my entire $1,000 on one hand. We sure don't recommend that. What I want to do before we get into the break is I want to give you some information as to what our home study course is all about. First of all, our home study course consists of all of our books. We have what we call, first of all, a lesson 1 book. And at the end of the lesson 1 books, we have what we call the drills and the exercises that really then at that point teach us how to learn it. I don't take credit for having invented playing winning blackjack. Computers did that 25 years ago. What I very much take credit for is the process that we created for educating people. So you really will understand, and then you can apply it in the casinos. So first we have what we call a lesson 1 book, then the flashcards, all of the drills that educate us as to how to learn in the casino, and then the remainder of the books. And literally anything that you would ever need for playing winning blackjack is already in the book. We then have all of the tapes that become part of the program. There are 2 tapes on basic strategy, and there are 2 on card counting, and there are 2 on money management. The reason that we produce the tapes is to reinforce the words. We read the words at home, we then listen to the words going back and forth to work on our cassette players and our cars. Because now what happens is we find that after about 3 or 4 days, you're actually responding to the questions that I ask on the tapes before I ever give the answer. What I do is I first put you through drills. I then ask a question. I then wait for you to answer it, and then I give the right answer. And if you give the wrong answer, I say, no, that's not right.
Learn the secrets of winning blackjack with the complete Bobby Singer home study course. Vital inside information not available anywhere else except on this special TV offer. It includes these 6 cassette tapes where Bobby teaches you basic strategy, card counting the easy way, money management, and much more. It comes complete with this workbook and study guide. In it, you'll learn casino awareness and team play. Plus, there's a comprehensive section of exercises and practice drills, complete with flashcards. The Bobby Singer Home Study course is yours for just $149. And if you order now, you'll also receive as an extra bonus a free 6-month subscription to Bobby Singer's Blackjack Times. This monthly newspaper is filled with hot current news for the blackjack winner, including up-to-date lists of the best places to play, timely articles by noted gaming authorities, and much more. All this is yours during this special TV offer for just $149 and comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. Keep it for 10 days. If you're not completely satisfied, return it for a full refund. Order now.
Call toll-free 1-800-445-4000. That's 1-800-445-4000. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Dial now toll-free 1-800-445-4000. Or send check or money order to Bobby Singer, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona 85068.
Here's what you get. The complete Bobby Singer Winning Blackjack Home Study course, including 6 cassette tapes, plus this workbook and study guide, including practice drills and flashcards. And as an extra bonus, a free 6-month subscription to the monthly newspaper, Bobby Singer's Blackjack Times, filled with up-to-date casino information. All this is yours during the special TV offer for just $149 and comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. By using the Bobby Singer method properly, your home study course will more than pay for itself. Learn how to win at blackjack. Order now.
Call toll-free 1-800-445-4000. That's 1-800-445-4000. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express. Or we'll ship COD. Dial now toll-free 1-800-445-4000. Or send check or money order to Bobby Singer, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona 85068. That's Bobby Singer, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona 85068.
We learn to count cards because it's the only way we ever can have an advantage over a casino, and it's the most exciting way to really play. To sit down and understand what's going on, and we learn how to count cards in what specific order. We learn the exact fashion by drills. We actually have 8 different drills alone that just teach us how to count cards. It matters if the dealer's right-handed or left-handed. It matters if you're the only one at the table or if the table is full. It matters if the game is being placed down or if the cards are being placed face up. We even have what we call an endurance drill because we all do function differently. And if you sit at a table attempting to count cards and fatigue sets in, you're in the wrong place. That's when we get up and we go take a nap or we go get some ice cream. That's my favorite thing in the world. I did not get this way from exercise. I got this way from eating ice cream. So we, in fact, relax ourselves before we go back to the casino. So we're not trying to count cards with a fatigue point. So the endurance drill actually will teach us again individually how many hours a day that we can function before fatigue sets in. So we proceed with card counting. And as long as we don't want, as we again say, the enemy to know that we are card counters, there's nothing wrong with it. But why tell them if, in fact, we can win money if they don't know? We therefore begin by learning how to count cards without moving our lips. You imagine sitting at the table going, so. We don't want them to see our lips. We don't want them to see our eyes. A simple little thing like sunglasses. I fly through a casino wearing dark glasses, and I carry a tennis racket. I have on tennis shorts and a funny little white cap. I always have with me my Arizona Territory Sheriff's badge. I do everything I can to look like a lunatic tourist. I then walk up to the table and I sit down to play alone against the dealer. So I go to a table where the dealer is standing there all by himself. He looks like he just wiped out half of Nevada. He's got that smile on his face. So that is where I sit down to play, and I want to be alone. But somebody else sits down at the table next to me. Now, you must picture there are 35 other empty tables in this casino, but they sat down next to me anyway. They sat there because they're intimidated. They came into the casino to party and have a good time. I didn't come into the casino to watch other people play blackjack. I came in there to attack. So let's learn how to play all of the hands correctly. And we're going to cover first now what we call the basic strategy. This is going to be a basic strategy for multi-deck games of blackjack. I'm playing in a casino now that deals 4, 5, or 6 packs of cards, or in Atlantic City, either 6 or 8 packs of cards. We'll cover it from that standpoint for now, and then we'll go on to learn all of the different things that we can do in a casino that will enlighten and help us with the progress of winning their dollars.
To learn the basic strategy, it's important now to have paper and pencil and copy this chart. You need 10 spaces across the top to fill in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, X and A. That's 2 through 9, an X and an A. Then down the left-hand side, you need 13 spaces. Here you fill in with 8 or less, 9, X, 11, 12, 13-16, 17-21, A2 and A3, A4 and A5, A6, A7, A8 and A9, and A10. We'll leave this on the screen for a while so you can copy it down, and then Bobby will show you how to fill it in.
Now, what we do is we establish first the fact that we can see one of the dealer's cards. It's face up. It has a value. The dealer's up card is either a 2, 3, 4, all the way to the dealer's potential ace. So we take a graph and we put along the top the potential up card the dealer might have. And along the left-hand column, I place in there my 2-card total. So when I pick up my 2 cards and I add them together, I then look at the dealer's up card, I respond, because there is only one way to correctly play every single hand. Now, the basic strategy as a whole is divided just into 2 categories. When we receive a hand, it is either called offensive or defensive. If it's an offensive hand, what it means is, regardless of what I do with this hand, I'm going to win more than half the time. But the right decision allows me to win more dollars. Like the hand of 11. If I double down with 11 instead of just hitting, I'll win more dollars. Either way, I'll win, but one way I win more. If it is a defensive hand, like all of the hands 12 through 16, what we covered as we began the program, what happens if you have 12 and the dealer has a 2? If we stand, we win 35 per 100 times. If we hit, we win 37 per 100 times. Either way, it's bad. But one is better than the other, which allows us to lose less. So the point is that it's necessary to never play a hunch. You must play every single hand correctly because it is just that basic strategy that allows us to play at a disadvantage to the casino of only 0.5%. We've almost already put ourselves at an even game against the casino. And then it, of course, is the card counting that then gives the advantage, and we proceed from there. So with that in mind, I am now dealt in a casino a 2-card total of 8 or less. And if I am, then it's for now really very simple. We just write H all the way across, because if we're dealt 8 or less in a casino, there is no way we can harm any of those hands, so we just hit. Now, when it comes to filling in a graph like this, we either hit, or we stand, or we double down, or we split pairs. So if we're going to hit, we'll use the letter H, and if we're going to double down, we'll use the letter D, and if we're going to, in fact, stand, we'll use the letter S, and that's what we're going to cover for now. So with 8 or less, I just proceed to write H, hit, all the way across. And then if I'm dealt a 2-card 9, this is the first hand that people will abuse in a casino, because they don't always realize that this is truly called an offensive hand. You see, in most of the casinos around the world, Northern Nevada, many of the casinos around the world, they really tell us we can only double down on 10s and 11s only. Places like Las Vegas or Atlantic City, they have more favorable rules. They say we can double down on any 2 cards regardless of what they are. So under a condition like that, 9 is a favorable hand, and it becomes proper to double down against the dealers 3 through 6. So it'll look like that, and otherwise we simply hit. So if you have 9, double 3 through 6, otherwise hit. If you have a 2-card 10, it becomes proper to double against the dealers 2 through 9, otherwise simply hit. And if you have a 2-card 11, well, in the days when we used to play single-deck blackjack, if you had 11, you would always double down, and that was correct. But from the shoe, we don't do this. If you're dealt a 2-card 11 while playing from the shoe, it is proper to double against the dealer's 2 through 10, but not against the dealer's ace. Against the dealer's ace, we simply hit. And the reason for that is whenever the dealer's hand contains an ace while playing from his shoe, it only breaks for that dealer 11.8% of the time, because the additional mix of smaller cards in the pack. Therefore, if we double down with 11 against the dealer's ace, the chances are very slight that the dealer will break. And you will actually have jeopardized 2 bets instead of 1. So with 11, we simply say double, 2 through 10, otherwise hit. And we now go into those defensive hands, 12 through 16. Now 12 is singled out, and it's played differently than any of the other ones. If you have 12, it's proper to stand against the dealers 4, 5, or 6. Otherwise, you should always hit. So if you have 12 against the dealer's 2 or 3, it's correct to hit. And if you have 12 against the dealer's 7 or greater, it is absolutely correct to hit. Against a 4, 5, or 6, we stand. And now we take the hands 13 through 16, and we couple them all together. Against the dealer's 2 through 6, all we do is stand. The dealer is in a break position, let him. But against the dealer's 7 or greater, when you have 13 through 16, you absolutely must hit. And we take the hands 17 through 21. And of course, when we are dealt 17 through 21, all we would do for now is stand. And I suppose the sad part about having one of these hands is that we don't always win with them. But don't do anything with them. Every single one of us here tonight that have ever been in a casino, I know it's incredible, but at one time or another we witnessed somebody hitting a 17. I have no idea in the world why they were in the casino. It would be a lot easier if they just mailed their checks in. They didn't even have to show up, right? If you're dealt 17 or greater in a casino, just stand. Don't do anything with it. And then we go from there to what we call the soft hands. Now, in the casinos that allow us to double down on any 2 cards, the soft hands are offensive hands. They're good to have. So if we have an ace-2 or an ace-3, against the dealer's 5 or 6, we write in D, we're going to double down because it allows us to win more money. Against anything else that the dealer has as an up card, then simply hit. And if you're dealt an ace-4 or an ace-5, double down against the dealer's 4, 5, or 6. Otherwise, simply hit. And if you're dealt an ace-6, an ace-6 really becomes the very first hand in what we call the soft hands that we will watch people destroy in a casino. And generally what I find is they treat the ace as 11 and they add the 6, and that's 17. Boy, that's terrific. And they stand. Well, first of all, whether you count cards or not, there would never be a time that we would ever stand with an ace-6. You can't win with the hand unless the dealer gets to 22. Now, the dealer may look over at you and say, you have 7 or 17. That's not correct. We actually have 7 and 17. We therefore refer to any hand at all that contains an ace. For the purposes of correctly learning it, we identify the hand by calling it ace and the sum of all the other cards in that hand. In this case, I have an ace-6. It's the only way I refer to it. And it's a highly offensive hand, and it's good to have. Against the dealer's 3, 4, 5, or 6, double down. Otherwise, hit. Do not ever, ever stand with that hand. And then we go from there to ace-7. And anytime I do any kind of a radio talk show, I put that hand out on the air. How would you play it? First person who calls in with the right answer, we'll give them free one of our books and invite them as our guest to our program. It is so common for me to go through an hour, sometimes even 2 hours, before anybody ever calls in with the right answer. And yet we know the people that are in fact calling in go to the casinos and play. And there's no reason at all to play the hands incorrectly when it is playing them right that allows us to win money. Now, ace-7, regardless of the casino, anywhere in the world you have ever been, this is the most commonly misplayed hand. And the average reason for it is people will treat the ace as 11, and they add the 7. Boy, that's 18, that's terrific, and they stand. Let me first tell you how terrific that is. The dealer's average non-breaking hand is 18.23. Now, I have personally never seen a .23 card, but that will become the dealer's average non-breaking hand. So we have to attack with this hand and become offensive, because it really is a good hand to have. With an ace-7, against the dealer's 3, 4, 5, or 6, double down. You'll win more dollars. Against the dealer's 2, 7, or 8, stand. Now you do have enough. But people get into the most trouble when they have an ace-7 against the dealer's 9, 10, or an ace. It is proper to hit, not to stand. With an ace-7 against a 9, 10, or an ace, we hit. And let's just think about what happens. I have an ace-7, and I hit. I could only receive one of 13 cards. First, I receive a 10, jack, queen, or a king. And if that happens, well, I would still have 18. The hand would look like this. I haven't changed the thing. Or maybe I would receive an ace. And if that happens, I've improved my total. Now it's gone to 19. If I receive a deuce, well, then the hand would look like this, and I've improved the total to 20. If I received a 3, I will have improved the total to 21. So 7 of the 13 cards that I could receive either don't change the hand at all or they improve its position. And the other 6 cards, all they do is fall into another category. That then allows me to draw a second card to beat the dealer's 18.23. So one more time, the mathematical superior play with ace-7. We simply say double, 3 through 6, stand 2, 7, 8, otherwise hit. And then we get into the hands where we have ace-8 or ace-9, and for now we just stand. Then we get into that all-elusive ace-10. Ace-10, ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-king. People tell me they never ever get one of these. But just in case you happen to get one, what do we call that? Blackjack. And is that not the single most important reason we walked into the casino? The most important reason we are there happens to be to get blackjacks. Could anyone quickly tell me what is the very first rule in a casino if you get a blackjack? What should you do? Turn it over is not the first rule. First rule is to smile. Somebody said, yo, whoopee. I understand somebody in town goes whoopee, whoopee. Now, the first rule when we get a blackjack is to smile. Then we turn our cards over. Then we get all excited, and we jump up and down, and we wave the cards in front of the dealer's face, and we spill our drink on them. And now let's cover some of what really happens in front of us on a table. We call them tells. Let's go into Nevada. I don't like to use the expression robot, but what do we have? We have a dealer that's been trained in a dealer school, deal as rapidly as they can. Now they go to work for a casino, and that casino has trained them to deal the game that that casino wants dealt, again, as rapidly as they can. The dealer cannot help but create habits, so we watch everything. First of all, let's go into a casino where the dealer is dealing from the shoe, and the dealer has a picture card face up, and the dealer peeks underneath it. And in this case, the dealer's whole card is a 4. The dealer needs another card. Watch his left hand. Because as quickly as the dealer peeks, his left hand is going to jar down and rest on the shoe. His left hand already knows that if you don't need a card, he does. But somebody's going to get a card out of that shoe. And then we have just the opposite. Same dealer. He has a picture card, peeks underneath it. He has a 7. He doesn't need another card. Right after he peeks, his hand hasn't gone anywhere. His hand already knows you don't need a card, either does he. His hand is ready to proudly turn over his whole card and announce his pad hand. Dealers don't like to be darting back and forth for nothing. They don't like to do anything that creates any additional sweat. You have the dealer that backs off the table after he's peeked and he looks at his tray and just moves right back forward. He's just told you he's going to break because he wants to know where all the chips are so he can show you how fast he can pay everybody's hand and how bright he is. You have a dealer that has a card where the dealer peeks, and then upon peeking, once he peeked a second time. We call that a double peek. Many people are familiar with that. A double peek means that the dealer's down card is a 4. Because if you'll take a deck of cards when you get home, you'll find that the ace and the 4 are the only 2 cards that have a point across the top. And because the dealer has been trained to peek rapidly, when he has a picture card, he's looking to see if he has an ace. Well, he wasn't sure. So he peeked a second time. And if he didn't turn it over, then we know it couldn't have been an ace. Therefore, it has to be a 4. One thing we know for sure, if it were a picture card, he wouldn't have had to peek twice. And now let me share with you, and there are 50 of these. I've never met a dealer in my life that I could not read. Let me share with you my favorite tell, and that is men playing against women dealers. And I suppose the irony here is that the average man refuses to play against a woman. He's so paranoid that God forbid he should lose to a woman. They're the nicest dealers. They're the nicest, the friendliest, the most emotional. You make an occasional bet for a lady dealer, she really wants you to win. And here's something that's been happening right there on the table in front of you for those men in the audience that have ever played against a lady dealer. The next round was just out. She has a picture card. She peeks underneath it. She has another picture card. She has 2 of them. She has 20. There is now something she absolutely cannot do. She's not capable of it. She cannot look you in the eye. Do you understand how embarrassed she's about to take your money? The next time that you play against a lady dealer and she has a picture card, right after she peeks, just try to look her in the eye. And if she doesn't look back, you're in a lot of trouble. If you wish to get involved in our program, again, one more time, we refer to that as a home study course. You can gain the necessary information that you need, and everything that you need from A to Z is in the home study course. And it again will look like this, and it will contain all of the books that we have. It contains what we call the Lesson 1 book, and then all of the flashcards. We have pages and pages of flashcards, and it contains what we call Lesson 2 through 5 book. The reason we do that is because when we get all done, we take the flashcards and we cut them up on lines, we put rubber bands around them, we even have people laminate them. Because now we reinforce and expedite the process of learning. I take them everywhere. You see, the package is so small, I have to put it in my pocket and even take them into the laboratory. You read them anywhere. For instance, this one says A7. Well, I know what to do when I'm dealt an ace and a 7. I double against the dealer 3 through 6. I stand 2, 7, 8. Otherwise, I hit. And then I look on the back. And it says double 3 through 6, stand 2, 7, 8. Otherwise, hit. And I have just now learned how to play basic strategy a little bit quicker. Because if we walk into a casino and we're dealt 12 and a dealer's up card is a 2, and we say to ourselves, well, with 12 I stand 4, 5, 6, otherwise I hit, even though that's correct, you're not prepared to be in the casino. Because at that point, you're still going to be conceding dollars for no reason at all. When you're dealt a 12 and a dealer has a 2, and you hit, you just react because you knew that it was correct. Really and truly only at that time are you there and prepared to be in the casino, because it is the drills and the exercises that get us to learn it. So you'll win money in the casino. You don't take any shortcuts. And I would assume that that's why you are here tonight, because you're planning on being in a casino again. So again, we have the home study course, and we have all of the cassette tapes that reinforce what are in the books. In the books, we will have roughly 3 times what we actually cover at the programs. Needless to say, it would take us 12 to 14 hours to just go through what is in fact in all of the books. Along with it is the service program, which is the true benefit of getting involved in our program. It is the ID number that you then would use to call the 800 numbers along with the newsletters. They're going to guide you as to where to play in the casinos. I highly encourage you to get it, because you will just magnify what you're going to win in a casino, and you will enjoy that very, very much. So with that, let me add a couple of things, if I may. and say to you that a lot of times people wonder really where my motivation comes from and where I get the tremendous energy to go at the pace that I do, as we are now lecturing in 6 different countries at about the rate of 80 cities a year. Let me tell you that for those of you that are getting involved in the program or have in the past, if you enjoyed our program tonight and you then enjoy what will happen from the information you will have and benefiting just in general from the program, well, then maybe I ask something of you that, again, you have no obligation to maintain. But if you go to the casino and you win your first time out, and very honestly, you'll probably win a lot more than the cost of the book itself. I ask that when you return home to your given city, if in fact you consider the victory, and then maybe send 10% of it to your local children's cancer center, then maybe you will have made yourself happy, and you will have made me very happy. So with that, good night and God bless you, and I hope you do well with this. Thank you.
Learn the secrets of winning blackjack with the complete Bobby Singer home study course. Vital inside information not available anywhere else except on this special TV offer. It includes these 6 cassette tapes where Bobby teaches you basic strategy, card counting the easy way, money management, and much more. It comes complete with this workbook and study guide. In it, you'll learn casino awareness and team play. Plus, there's a comprehensive section of exercises and practice drills complete with flashcards. The Bobby Singer home study course is yours for just $149. And if you order now, you'll also receive as an extra bonus a free 6-month subscription to Bobby Singer's Blackjack Times. This monthly newspaper is filled with hot current news for the blackjack winner, including up-to-date lists of the best places to play, timely articles by noted gaming authorities, and much more. All this is yours during this special TV offer for just $149 and comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. Keep it for 10 days. If you're not completely satisfied, return it for a full refund. Order now.
Call toll-free 1-800-445-4000. That's 1-800-445-4000. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Dial now toll-free 1-800-445-4000. Or send check or money order to Bobby Singer, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona 85068.
Here's what you get. The complete Bobby Singer winning blackjack home study course, including 6 cassette tapes, plus this workbook and study guide, including practice drills and flashcards. And as an extra bonus, a free 6-month subscription to the monthly newspaper, Bobby Singer's Blackjack Times, filled with up-to-date casino information. All this is yours during the special TV offer for just $149 and comes with a 100% fee. By using the Bobby Singer method properly, your home study course will more than pay for itself. Learn how to win at blackjack. Order now.
Call toll-free 1-800-445-4000. That's 1-800-445-4000. Use your MasterCard, Visa, or American Express, or we'll ship COD. Dial now toll-free 1-800-445-4000. Or send check or money order to Bobby Singer, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona 85068. That's Bobby Singer, P.O. Box 9399, Phoenix, Arizona 85068.